This is so self-awareness is the topic today, and the student code of conduct. How you conduct yourselves is going to be very appropriate and important for the coming school year. You're going to be involved in a lot of clubs, organizations, classes, and you're going to be around a lot of people. Your social development is of critical importance, and how you interact with others. And so it's important for you to have some self-awareness about yourself and the student code of conduct. So I want to make certain that you are reminded of a couple of the activities of the things that we've gone through. That's the class assignments are due, and some of you have already submitted those class assignments. Who Am I is one of them. The autobiography you submitted this week. If you haven't, get that in. The affirmation board is of critical importance. The service learning project, you can initiate that and start working on your service learning project. The midterm, can anyone remind me when midterm is on your syllabus? That's right, next week, Tuesday. So I will send you your midterm exam Monday, and it will be due back Tuesday. So you got a chance to take your time, go through it, and you can ask me what are some of the items that will be on your midterm, and I'll share that with you. Some of the things that items that you need to start studying up for, so that you will not fall behind. You'll have an opportunity to do your midterm exam, and I'll send that to you. The 2 more assignments, and you'll be finished with your 8 assignments that you have for the semester. When you come back, you're going to do your dream big. You're going to be dreaming big about what you want to become and how you want to become that surgeon, that doctor, that attorney, a business person, so forth. And internships you're going to try to get involved in your freshman year, your sophomore year, your junior year, your senior year. You're going to dream big. That's important. Scavenger hunt. You have my PowerPoint that talks about Philander Smith College and all of the presidents of the president. By the way, who is the 14th president? What page is that on? You're going to do a scavenger hunt. You're going to tell me what page is the 14th president of Philander Smith College on, and who is the 14th president of Philander Smith College. Do many of you have your PowerPoint, access to your PowerPoint right now? You can pull it, make certain that you pull it up. Your handbook and your textbook, we need those 3. Of course, you always have your syllabus pulled up. Okay, and so while you are finding that out about the 14th president of Philander Smith College, that's in my PowerPoint that talks about the college and all of the presidents and information regarding the United Methodist Church. It's on that PowerPoint that you went over the week one. Okay, let's start talking as you're looking that information up, pulling up your PowerPoints, your student handbook. I want to go over a few things with you related to your page 200 of your on course book, Gaining Awareness of Yourself. The successful student, the struggling student. Recognize when you're off course. And we'll talk about some of those things today, about when you're off course. And you'll give me some ideas as to how you're going to get back on course. We've been in class for 2 weeks, and some of the students may be struggling to turn in some of their information. They're unaware of their self-defeating patterns of thought, emotions, and behavior. Thoughts, emotions, and behavior. They are forgetting about how to behave as college students. And so that's important for you to be aware. You're supposed to rewrite and write in your journals. They call this getting your script right. Write your current script. Yesterday's script is gone, but today's script is still with you. If you write out your plans, I will work on my science today. I will work on my math today. I will work on my English today. You have to decide with your plan what you intend to do and when you intend to start your plan. So remember, this course is about your personal and your social development. You have to develop yourself personally. What are some things that I can do to become more aware of myself? They call that self-awareness. Am I the type of student who procrastinates, puts off for tomorrow what I should be doing today? You have to be aware of your patterns. Do I go to sleep too late so that I wake up late and I'm late for going to do my work? Self-awareness is of critical importance to knowing who you are. So listen to some of these cases, and I need you to see, is this me? Do I know anybody like that? There are several professors that I want to talk about. One of them is students who make strange choices. These are students who make strange choices. The professor looked up from their lunches. Quote, "What do you mean? Do your students make really strange choices?" I asked. "Well, at the beginning of each class, I give short quizzes that count as 50% of the final grade," Professor Asante replied. "One of my students comes late to class, every class, even though I keep telling him or her there's no way that he or she can pass the course if he or she keeps missing the quizzes. But the student keeps coming late. What is this student thinking?" What do you think the student is thinking? That's a question to you all. The student keeps coming late. They miss the quizzes.
He probably thinks that the quizzes aren't anything he or she, and that the teacher is being, I don't know.
Yes. They think it's probably unimportant, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What do you think, Grice?
I think they just, whoever they are, they don't care enough about it to come in early enough. Maybe they think he's just trying to get them into class. So.
Yes. Okay. And, okay, give me your point, Miss Metley and Miss Busby.
Well, they probably just don't care about taking a test, or just don't want to take the test. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You don't, but you need that to pass the class. So you got to do something Chime in, Brother Churchwell, Busby.
My sound had went out, so I didn't hear anything you just said.
Okay. There was a student who was coming to, the professor gives tests, a little short mini tests every day, but the student comes late every day and misses the test. What is that student thinking? What's going on in that student's mind?
The students probably having stuff going on at home, so they think the teacher is
Oh,
really giving quizzes when they're late to see if they're actually doing the work.
oh, so some personal problem may be going on at home. What should that student do to, if it's a personal problem going on, what should that student do as it relates to the professor?
Let the professor know ahead of time.
Exactly. Taking responsibility to let the. Now, what are the ways that the student can inform the professor?
Email.
Email,
Maybe if they have the professor's number, they can text them.
text them. That's right. So there are a few ways that the student can take responsibility if they have an ongoing situation. Okay, here's another situation. One professor that he was talking to said, that's nothing. I've got, quote, I've got a really bright student in my online class who came to the in-person orientation, logs into the course site almost every day, and contributes valuable comments to the discussion and the forums. But the semester is almost over, and he still hasn't turned in any assignments. At this point, he's too far behind to pass. Now, that's what I call a strange choice that this A student is making. What do you think about that?
You might be struggling with work, trying to turn it in.
A,
It's just
a,
giving up.
a bright student that comes online on the online class every day, never misses, but has not turned in a single assignment.
Oh, he probably thinks that the discussions are enough.
You got a syllabus. What I mean, what do you think the student read the syllabus?
Probably not.
It's an A student. A students read things, right? Wait a
But
minute.
he a different A student if he not turning stuff in.
You can tell that the student is bright by the conversations that they're having in the discussions. So that's something that you have to think about. Okay? You think that's strange? I'm teaching composition in the computer lab. Last week I sat down next to a woman who was working on her essay, and I suggested a way that she could improve her introduction. I couldn't believe what she did. She swore at me, stormed out of the room, and slammed the door. Professor Donnelly chimed in. Well, I can top all you. In my philosophy class, participation counts for 1/3 of your final grade. I've got a student this semester who hasn't said a word in 12 weeks. Isn't that interesting? Not a word in 12 weeks. This, by the way, how long is a semester? How many weeks is a semester? Semester means weeks. How many weeks?
Is it not?
No, this said
No.
12. This one here said he hasn't said a word in 12 weeks. So how many you think a semester is? How many weeks?
I guess it's 12.
15.
Oh,
Yes. So when you think of semester, 15 weeks. When you think of a month, how many weeks?
4.
Very good. 4. Very good. So semester, 15 weeks. So you got to make certain that each one of those weeks you are focusing on your. So that means midterm is going to be what week in the among those 15? Midterm. Give me
15th, the 15th week,
no,
or
no the middle of the term. What do you think?
oh,
Midterm.
the
Midterm means the middle of the term.
uh,
Will it
the
be
7th or the 8th, or
very
like the
good? Very good. Now you know when your midterm is going to be, right? When you come in the fall. So you have to begin to think as a college student. Now, in the summer, you go 5 weeks. When do you think your midterm is?
the 3rd.
3rd.
2.5. And what day is your midterm next week? When did I tell you that?
Tuesday.
Very good. Very good. And we'll go over some of that. You think that will be on it. You can ask me some questions. You can always ask your professor questions about the midterm. What will it cover? Okay? So you can stay ahead. And I had a student last semester with a B average going into the final 2 weeks. Then he disappeared. This semester, I ran into him on campus and I asked, "What happened?" "Oh," he said, "I got burned out. I got burned out and stopped going to my classes." "But you only had 2 more weeks to go. You threw away 13 weeks of work." You know what he did? He shrugged his shoulders and he walked away. I wanted to say, "What were you thinking?" Tell me, class, what was he thinking? 13 weeks of school he went, and the last 2 weeks he disappeared. What was he thinking?
He was thinking it was too stressful, and I don't know. I lost his
13 weeks? Yeah. Boy, he said, "I got burned out and stopped going to my classes." Did he pace himself?
No, he didn't.
So if you know that a semester is, how long is a semester, class?
15.
15 weeks. What is the third? You 5 weeks plus 5 weeks plus 5 weeks. 5 weeks plus 5 weeks plus 5 weeks equals what? 15. So the first 5 weeks, you should have been pacing yourself for the next 5 weeks, right?
Mhm.
And then the last 5 weeks, you should be in a coasting mood. You should be, "Oh, I got this," because I know what is going to happen and where I am, because I've completed 2/3. The first 5 weeks, the second 5 weeks, I completed 2/3 of the semester. I'm not going to wait and do all my work the last 5 weeks to burn myself out. Is it making sense to you now?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay? So that's the critical thinking that Philander Smith College wants you to engage yourselves. A semester, 15 weeks. What is midterm? You said the 8th week. It could be the 7th or the 8th week. But you are pacing yourself in such a way that it's going to be You're going to be cruising to your midterm. You're not going to burn yourself out. And you shouldn't burn yourself out the first uh, for that midterm. Some students stress out, some of them burn out when they hear midterm. But if you've been keeping up and your midterm is 9 days before midterm, you got 9 days before midterm. Then midterm, you got 9 days after midterm. And the semester and your summer session is over. That's how you began to create that self-awareness about yourself so that you can pace yourself. Okay? Everybody got that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very well. Okay, any questions about how to make wise choices instead of strange choices? That was the name of this on page 200, the chapter 6, Gaining Self-Awareness. And they go on to talk about example after example of how students self-sabotage themselves by the choices they make. Self-sabotage. That's what the students are doing when they're engaging in that type of behavior. Okay? Instead, they give you a little exercise. Okay, I want to practice this with you all. Deep breath, deep breath. Everybody got a deep breath? Relax. Breathe out. Deep breath. Relax. Breathe out. That's what you have to do to engage yourself so that you don't get stress. A lot of stress doesn't come to you. Okay? There is a mystery that they talk about with self-sabotage and unconscious forces that are operating within your mind, and how you can get off course by self-sabotaging yourselves. You know, saying, I got enough time, but you know you haven't been studying. You know you haven't been turning in any assignments. So that's what you do. Let's go very quickly to, let me see, your student handbook. Your student handbook, thank you for pulling that out. Student handbook. We're on good standings. Can anyone tell me what grade point average do you need in order to be in good standing with the college? What grade point average? And I'm on page 70 of your student handbook. See that? Good standing. Students must, page 70, students must be in good standing with the college.
A 2.0 GPA.
2.0 GPA. That's what. Now, is that hard to make, a 2.0 GPA?
No.
You're totally correct. It is not hard to make. See, that, but you're going to be higher than that because you're going to make 4.0s. And because that's just what my students do. They engage in 4.0 type of activities and assignments, and they do them. In order to participate in any student organization, you must also have what type of GPA? The minimum GPA requirements may be higher than 2.0, which must take precedence. So you can't participate in student organizations, no sororities, fraternities, clubs, organizations. You got to meet the college minimum requirement of at least a 2.0. And what about, can I go into your room and search it? Search by college officials. That's the next segment on page 70 of your student handbook. All patrons of the college are subject to search and what? Seizure. I can take some items from your room or from the classroom, that type. So college officials are held accountable for the residential life and the welfare of the students. Designated college officials. The sanction for failure to comply may result in immediate suspension. We will suspend you from the college. You may be come back, but if you are expelled, you can't come back. All vehicles entering the campus must be searched by security. Now, what are the sanctions? Read that. Someone read that section to me. What are the sanctions? Read that section, please. Go ahead. Mr. Grice, you on that page? Ms. Medley?
I'm trying to find it.
Okay. Go ahead. Help him out, Ms. Perez. Ms.
I'm trying to
Miss-
find it myself. My thing
Okay.
is
Ms. Medley, help him out. Help him out.
You said page 70.
Busby, you see that? Page 70?
There
are various sanctions, that part.
Yes.
There are various sanctions that may be imposed on students for violation of the Student Code of Conduct. The magnitude of the sanction would depend on the seriousness of the offense. The assistant dean of students and or vice president for student affairs has the authority to impose sanctions for all offenses with recommendations from the College Student Conduct Committee in cases they hear.
That's right. And what is said under warning? How do you get that?
Warnings can be issued in either an oral or written form.
Oral or written form. Okay. And let's see. Go on after. Restriction of activities. What do they say about restrictions of activities participation? The student is subject to any other restrictions or requirement deemed necessary by the Student Conduct Committee, the Assistant Dean of Students, the Dean of Students, Vice President, or Vice President. Upon completion of the period of disciplinary probation, the lost privileges and eligibility are restored automatically, provided the student has complied with all of the terms and conditions of the probation, and no warning letters were sent to the student as a reminder. So you have to, there's disciplinary probation, interim suspension, then we suspend you, and indefinite suspension, there's a section on that, and suspension and reinstatement. So you must observe the terms and conditions. Failure to observe the terms and conditions, that is, the suspension or disciplinary probation, will result in immediate suspension for not less than 1 semester. No warning will be given. Students are expected to follow the terms of their probations or suspension, no exceptions. Then you see that where I mentioned about expulsion. Expulsion implies that a student is to never return to the institution, permanent dismissal from the college, and will be effective on the date of notice of expulsion unless otherwise stated, and be entered into the student's permanent record. Entered into the student's permanent record. So you have to be aware by reading your student handbook of this. You can have hearings and there will be disciplinary procedures so that you can hear. The Student Conduct Committee, many of you probably will serve on there because they normally have 3 students on that Student Conduct Committee, so you can hear other students' situations. Many of you are going to be on those committees. Yes. So that's how to appeal is in that section on page. And then we assign educational sanctions, $50 fee complete, and this is page 77. A poster campaign, $15. You gotta do a poster campaign. Make certain that everything is the infractions that does not happen to another student. So any questions? For heavens, no, you're not going to be able to do any arson, but you'll hear those cases. Warnings, sanction levels for violation of alcohol based on consumption. Level 1, there are 4 levels: warning, parental notification, educational program. They'll put you on an educational program or activity, and they'll fine you. Level 2, the parent notification, put you on an educational program or activity, give you a fine. Level 3, probation, parental notification, alcohol prevention program, because you got to put you on an alcohol prevention program, and suspension, level 4, suspension or expulsion or alcohol prevention. Hopefully our students know better than to sell. It's bad enough using it, but they know better than to sell it. Okay, so those are dealing with drugs. Read that section dealing with drugs. And do not pull false alarms around the campus. Forgery, fraud, gambling, misrepresentation, all of this stuff, misuse of various college facilities, and pets or animals. How many have pets or animals?
I do.
I do.
Well, pets are not allowed unless they are fish in an approved aquarium or other container in building, the resident hall, classroom, offices, etc., except with approval from the vice president for student affairs. So you got to get approval. And